everything that we do. And it's almost a badge of honor that we need to wear as far as working hard, right? And so, guess what? With technology being available in every which way to all size businesses, including the solopreneur, we don't have to work that hard anymore, people.
Thank you for tuning into Time for You Evolve for female entrepreneurs. Remember, you have what it takes to achieve greatness. Your time is now. You're here with me. You're ready to change lives and you're ready to change the world. Isn't it time to skip over the confusion and start creating sustainable and consistent results? We're going to pull back the curtain and start giving meaning to life in this podcast. Time for You Evolved. Hey, my name is Lisa Carmichael, and I am obsessed with everything online. It's no secret in this crowded and highly competitive business world, we need to stand out. It's even more important at a deeper level to stand up for ourselves. I'm a farm girl who grew up shy with zero confidence. If someone had suggested that I would eventually start a podcast, I never would have believed it. As a farm kid, I had the unique opportunity to embrace a holistic approach to life. All the seasons of growth were lessons that have helped me and other female entrepreneurs find success when they've been stuck and struggling. The Time for You Evolved podcast is here to help you navigate business online so you can be laser focused and help you navigate the messy and the magical in every season of your business. Pull up a seat to hear the tried and true secrets that other female entrepreneurs like you are facing and get ready for real talk while you learn. This is the Time for You Evolved podcast. They're entrepreneurs ready to work smarter, not harder. Let's talk video marketing. It's the savvy way to attract, retain, and convert faster than any other strategy out there. Who can blame you? Creating videos can be frustrating, time consuming, and downright intimidating. That's where Big View comes in. It's the solution for your frustration. With Big View, you can create professional videos with ease thanks to its teleprompter app. I've been using Big View for years. Big View is an app that has saved me a lot of time and hassle. The app makes it easy to create professional looking videos. It's an online teleprompter that allows the presenter to keep eye contact with the camera while reading the text they need to speak. Big View allows you to focus on your performance and delivery so your confidence shines through. Whether you're a marketer, blogger, trainer, or business owner, Big View is designed with you in mind. If you're ready to take your video marketing game to the next level, click on the Big View link on my website, lisarcarmichael.com/bigview. Join me and be the best presenter you can be and learn how to make great presentations. Oi, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast Time for You Evolved. And I want to introduce you to our listeners. Oie Dobier is a business coach. She has a business coaching service called Bloom Docking Services, and she's an entrepreneur, she's a speaker, and she's a question queen. And kind of her mantra too is, what if working smarter was the key to gaining more freedom? And I love that because I feel like we're in this season of business in this climate that, especially as women, and I know you work with both men and women, but we it's okay to start thinking differently. And with the loud online world and the business world that's going on, in order to amplify our voice, we have to embrace our voice. And we all think different. And that's what makes us smart. So, can you share a little bit about your journey? First of all, what led you to become a coach and an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I'll start out with what led me to become an entrepreneur. And I'll be frank, it was due to I got passed up for a promotion. And it really woke me up because I felt like I deserved that promotion and I wanted it really badly, and then when I didn't get it, it just woke me up. So it made me lift my head and look around and say, "What am I doing here?" And by the way, I'm feeling a little worthless, and I don't need a company to get worth from them, right? From a promotion. And so then I started to look around and I realized I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer for myself. And so in that journey, what I really figured out is, you know what? I need to work for myself. I'm a super hard worker. I can do all the things. And this way I can take my own destiny and put it in my own hands and go after the goals and dreams that I want versus doing things that people are telling me what to do or helping others pursue their goals and dreams. It's interesting as a business coach, I do that still. I do help people pursue their goals and dreams, but it aligns to my goals and dreams. And so that really just was like the center point of entrepreneurship for me. The second piece that you asked, which is what drove me to become a business coach. And that's really interesting because whenever I have worked in various teams, I've always been the person where if someone needs someone to talk to or get advice from or just have be a sounding board or a thought partner or anything like that, I've always been the person. And so it's like, let's just step into that because that's a calling of mine, it seems like. And so I started digging into business coaching and what that was about. And it was exciting because coaching is a skill that I haven't necessarily developed, been intentional about developing. So it was exciting for me to go down that path. So I got my certification as a business coach. And as I progressed down the path, it really excited me more and more because I was learning things that was really interesting, helpful to entrepreneurs, and just very practical.
I love that you made it sound really easy leaving corporate because I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. And maybe hindsight, it probably wasn't as easy as you just made it sound, but it sounds like it was definitely worth the change.
Absolutely worth a change. For me, change is not something that is hard. Usually, what I'd have to do is just up my mind, make a decision about something. And that's what really drives me to move forward. The thing that is debatable is the decision, right? But once I make the decision, change is really easy for me. In fact, my husband often, I don't want to say complains about it, but he well, if he were here with us, he would nod his head in agreement. Like when Oy makes her mind up, that's what she's doing.
That's the way it should be. And it almost sounds like the decision was made for you at the time because you didn't want to deal with it anymore.
And I wanted to be back in control, right? Nobody likes that feeling where your path forward isn't under your control.
And what I said at the beginning too, like your tagline is entrepreneurs working smarter. So what does that mean to you?
That's a great question. What does working smarter mean? Well, one thing is clear. There are a million ways to do something, but there's only probably a handful of ways that get you ahead. And as Americans, we are bred to work super hard in everything that we do, and it's almost a badge of honor that we need to wear as far as working hard, right? And so, guess what? With technology being available in every which way to all size businesses, including the solopreneur, we don't have to work that hard anymore, people. We have technology to help us. And so let's work smart by leveraging the tools and resources available to us versus thinking that we have to be here all by ourselves and do everything ourselves. So working
Hmm.
smarter to me is about being aware of all the resources available to you and having courage to really just, utilize them, leverage them.
Oh, I understand what you're saying completely. When I first became an entrepreneur, the tech stuff spiraled me. I kept telling myself it was a mind game. I kept telling myself I couldn't figure it out. I can't figure this out. And when I came to that realization that everything is figure outable, it just got easier. And now with technology the way it is, you have to embrace the thought process that you have, that it is there to help us and make our business better and make our business easier.
Yes, yes, I love that. It's there to help us. I do want to point out that some technology, it is hard to figure out. Let's just be honest. I mean, not all tools are created equal. Some are very intuitive and are very helpful, and others, it is a pain in the butt to figure out, to implement. So I just want to call out that if you are dealing with some piece of tech currently, do not feel like you are alone when you can't figure things out because not all tools are intuitive. But
Right.
all tools can help us in our business, can be leveraged to help us work smarter for sure.
Right. Because I struggled for probably a month trying to figure out this tech problem. And if I just had had the right person to go to, I would have been able to solve it within a day. And that's
Mm,
why we have people like you, Oi, who are tech savvy, that we can come to you and you do make it easy and you explain it in a way that's so understandable.
yes. It kind of reminds me of, when you go and do Google search or nowadays chat GPT prompting, but let's go back to Google search. Let's pretend you're searching for something on Google. If you don't know what the keywords you want to search on, it's really hard to find anything that's relevant and meaningful for you. But as soon as you know the right words to ask, oh my gosh, all the information all of a sudden makes sense and is relevant. And you're like, okay, I'm getting somewhere as far as understanding and how to apply to my business and whatnot. So it's very similar from a Google search perspective. If you don't know what to ask for or even know the terms, it's impossible.
It is. And that just brought me into my next question. What's the power of asking the right questions in business? Because you are the question queen. Explain
Yeah.
that a little bit for me.
I gave myself that title. Actually, I did not give myself that title. One of my customers gave me that title. You are the question queen, Oi. You always ask the right questions. And you know how it is when we are busy in our business and we are working on something very specific, we get a little bit narrow-minded. We're down, heads down, focused, and it's hard to see outside of the box. And so coaches in general are wonderful at that because we come in from an outside perspective and we ask about you, we ask to learn more about you, ask you to tell us about your business, your challenges. And then as you tell your story, things pop up. Patterns, things that worry about you come up often, things that you're proud of come up often. And that insight is really very apparent to someone that's outside looking in, and it's less apparent to you because you're in the middle of it, right? And so it's easier for me to kind of see the patterns and then ask you questions to make you think about things in ways that you haven't thought about. And so when it comes to the right questions, it is about, how do you ask yourself questions that help you think about things that you haven't thought about yet? And that's really the key. How can you think about things that you haven't thought about yet? Because that's really where the answer is. No matter what you're working on, the answer isn't within the knowledge that you have. Most likely, the answer is within the knowledge that you don't have.
I like that. And a lot of times, the knowledge when you're asking a question and you're not getting the answer, it's because you're not asking the right question. So
Hmm.
you do have to be almost like a wizard at asking questions
Hmm. Yes.
because you won't get the right answer if you're not asking the right question.
Right, right. And I want to clarify what I just said a moment ago. It's not that you don't have the answer. You definitely have the answer within yourself. And this is the kind of core root of coaching. We aren't here to give you answers, although sometimes I do step into consulting and people will ask me, well, Oi, what do you recommend? And it always starts out with, well, it depends. It depends on what you want, right? But really, from a coach perspective, we're always helping you discover the answer you already have. It's just how can you think about the thing that you are struggling with in a different manner, a different light. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure. So, and what is a common mistake that you see entrepreneurs making that keeps them working harder instead of smarter?
The biggest thing that I have seen people do has to do with setting boundaries. It has to do with saying yes to everything because as entrepreneurs, we definitely are after the opportunities. We're opportunists, right? So we want to take advantage of all the opportunities. But as you know, our time and energy are finite. So we can't go after all the opportunities. We have to pick and choose the opportunities which make the most sense for us and leverage the momentum that we already have in our business and then focus and buckle down on that opportunity. Test it out, figure out, is this opportunity worth my time and effort? What can I do to test on that? And then once you gain some traction or you don't gain some traction, then you can move on to different opportunities. Does that make sense?
Definitely. On your website, bloomdocking.com, you offer strategy sessions, smart shift group coaching, and tech one on one. How do entrepreneurs know which service is the right fit for them?
That's a good question. So I'll break it down into the three areas. For strategy intensives, people who typically book strategy intensives are the ones with all the ideas in their head, and they really just need a thought partner to help them get the ideas out of their head, their concerns, their doubts, and then into a way that makes sense altogether. Because the trouble isn't necessarily this idea or that idea. It's the mixture of ideas. And as entrepreneurs, we know somehow this idea fits in with that other idea, but how does it do it? And how can I make it all work? And so folks who hire me for strategy intensives are the ones that are really looking for a knowledgeable thought partner to help them straighten out all the ideas and doubts and concerns in their heads and put it into a very intentional strategy that aligns with their goals and visions. Does that make
And
sense?
that, yeah. And then that strategy, how do you help business owners create strategies that align with their own personal goals and lifestyles?
First, it's about reminding them what their goals and lifestyles are, because sometimes we forget. And then second, really just giving them the time and space to articulate what they want and what they want to go after. What is their current approach in going after that thing and what's not working? And then talking through, well, why isn't it working? And then once we uncover kind of the meat and potatoes or the root cause of why things aren't working, then coming up with different ideas of, well, all right, if that's not working in that manner, what could we do or what could you do to adjust? What are some ideas that we could brainstorm on to readjust your approach so it does work? Or maybe the approach that you chose completely doesn't work and you're in denial for some reason.
And that happens a lot, I'm sure.
Yes. So that's a way that we work through that in a strategy intensive.
Gotcha. And I come from a marketing background as well. So who is participating in any of these sessions with you?
As far as who's attending the session or types of business owners that hire me?
Types of businesses that like who is your target audience? Who what type of person that is on watching this podcast today should be seeking out your services?
My target audience is the entrepreneur who is super busy. In fact, they are really up to their eyeballs in work, yet they want to grow more in their business. But they're looking at it going, I want to grow, but I don't know how I'm going to fit this all in. My day is already stacked, but I know I can do it. I just got to figure out a way to shuffle things around differently, approach things differently so that I can get more time in the day to go after the growth that I want in my business. My ideal audience is the entrepreneur that has big dreams and they're still going after it, but they're just a little bit burnt out and they're ready to work smarter.
Oh yeah, the struggle is real. Have you ever been in that situation yourself?
Oh, yes. Currently, I am definitely in the situation.
I love your honesty.
We've had an influx of new Custo customers, and it's amazing. It's so much fun, but it has quickly made me realize, okay, the processes that we have in place are not buttoned down. I need to step back. I need to automate more. I need to delegate the things that last week I told myself, this is a waste of my time. Can I automate it? Not really. Well, pieces of it, maybe I can. So I'm going to need to delegate it. Who in my world, in my community, would be able to help me with this? Who provides that kind of service? So I started to reach out to a few folks to see, are they a good fit for what I need and started to plan that kind of more sustainable growth model.
hmm Because as a strategist and a business coach, you're looking at things from a higher level and you're solving the bigger problems. And sometimes those smaller problems need to be solved. The client either needs to solve them or somehow someone else needs to be directed. Well, what is one topic entrepreneurs aren't talking about enough, but they should be?
I love this question. When you told me, boy, if we have time, I'm going to ask you this question, I'm like, ooh, this is a good one. Related, very related to what we've been talking about, ironically. The thing that we need to talk about that we're not talking about is why we keep abandoning the systems or the processes that we set up. We talk about, yep, you got to set up better systems, you got to have a process, but no one really talks about when you set it up, why are those systems not sticking, right? Because have you ever built a process and you're like, yes, I'm finally being proactive. I'm finally, uh, getting ahead of myself and streamlining and being organized. And then a few months later, you're realizing you're back to winging it and you pretend like the system that you built never even existed. Have you ever done that, Lisa?
Yes, all the time. It's that shiny object where everything's going well, status quo, and then something piques your interest, and then you're going in another direction.
Yeah.
And what you created, you're just leaving it behind.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I could see that too. So,
Can
what
you
I
give an example of what you're talking about?
like just the other day, I was doing something and I realized, geez, I'm reinventing the wheel and I'm pretty sure I put a process together in place. So here I'm thinking, gosh, I am not being disciplined to follow my process. As entrepreneurs, depending on you, the entrepreneur, you might be an entrepreneur that just like, like you said, shiny object, likes the new ideas, blazes the trail, but you need to follow a process. And so it's really not a discipline problem, is what I'm finding. It's a design problem. What I mean like that is the reason why most systems fail is because we built it for the ideal version of us or the ideal version of us and our team, not the real way that we actually do the work. And so, if you produce a system or a process that's not easy to follow or not easy to reference, then your brain just will ignore it because it goes, not working. This is not how I actually work. So, before you kind of like try to tweak another entire process because it's not working for you, you should ask yourself, is this actually built for the way that I do work or how I wish I did the work? Because those are two different things. And if you build a process for the ideal way, then you run the risk of the process actually not working for you because that's not how you work.
And how do you test something like that?
You just got to do it. You got to start with a simple process, run it through a couple cycles, and see what sticks and what doesn't. And anything that doesn't stick, the the reality might be is it's not really geared for your way of working. So you might need to tweak it. And then once you kind of run through a couple versions of that, cycles of tweaks, then start, adding on to the process. But start with something simple first because you know how it is. Sometimes we create a process that's very complicated and then it doesn't work out from a simple perspective and then we just throw it out the door because oh my gosh, that the main flow doesn't even work. So the more complicated flows won't work either.
True, true. Is this almost like a shift change for entrepreneurs that they can make that can actually have a huge impact on their business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you feel like you're not following a process that you already set up, it's because it's not working for you. So go ahead and spend some time to reflect on what's not working and make those adjustments right away. Don't sit on it. Don't try to force yourself to be and work in a way that isn't really aligned to who you are. Make the adjustments. That's the beauty of owning your own business. When you work for a big corporation, making adjustments are a lot harder. When you own your own business, it's a lot easier because you're the boss.
We talked about like the struggle is real, but what about the reports and the reporting? Are people finally starting to kind of look at their numbers, or is that still something that gets pushed on the wayside?
That's very uh, I was trying to think about that. As I say, that's very dependent on who the customer is. I definitely have a set of customers that are very much data driven. And so when you ask them about their numbers, they can pull it up in seconds and tell you exactly what their numbers are. I also have a group of entrepreneurs that definitely know their numbers, but maybe they don't have it readily available and they'll get back to me about their numbers and they'll send it to me later that day or the next day. And then I have a set of entrepreneurs that are just trying to hold it all together and looking at numbers is far from their minds. They are still very much wanting to get out of the reactive mode and into proactive. And so that is something that they want to do and value, but haven't figured out how to have time and energy and space for that.
Do you see any correlation with your successful business owners, your successful entrepreneurs who are looking at their numbers on a regular basis?
Yes, I mean, the ones that know their numbers are very in tune to the strategy that we put in place. They're very in tune to testing and learning from it. And they're very quick to pivot if necessary because they're like, that's not working, let's try something else, right? And so when I work with customers like that, the conversations and flow are very different because they know their numbers, right? And they're doing something with the expectation of their numbers changing.
Right. So do you have any advice for someone that isn't looking at their numbers, but they really should be? And I'm not talking about their financials or QuickBooks or something like that. I'm talking about like your data and the testing
Mm-hmm.
so that they can have a positive ROI because that's really what everyone's goal is.
Right. You know, for someone who isn't looking at their numbers, what I would recommend is start with something simple because having numbers and knowing your numbers, it can get daunting very fast as far as all the things. But start out with, you know, how much revenue do you have? How many customers do you ideally want? In order to get those new customers, how many prospects do you need in your pipeline? How many people need to be aware? You know, just those kind of simple numbers. And start with something simple. And if you still can't think of simple numbers to understand, this is where I would definitely get on with ChatGPT and say, hey, I just listened to a podcast with Lisa and Oie, and they really emphasize that I start to look at my numbers. What do you recommend as far as understanding numbers are concerned? Just give me something basic so I don't get overwhelmed. And just tell chat that, and you'll be amazed what chat gives you as far as ideas of what to look for and how to do it.
I love that. That's such a smart idea. I think a lot of times we're afraid to hear the answers or even to look at the numbers because we know deep down, like you said, we know. But when it's so important to analyze those numbers, to take a look at them, because you need a starting place so that you can move forward, so you can start making momentum.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, it's one thing when you have like a feeling about something, whether it's positive or negative or maybe in the middle. But when you have some data to kind of back up that feeling with something concrete, even the negative feelings become less negative because you're like, okay, I thought this was bad, but it wasn't really that bad. Or, oh, yeah, it was as bad as I thought. And now your brain starts thinking about maybe different solutions or whatever, because now you have some concreteness around the situation. Whereas before, it's just kind of nebulous and you can't really think and strategize around gray.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
How do you help clients overcome the mindset blocks that keep them stuck?
Hmm. My favorite technique is reframing. So we definitely get in our own ways because we have a certain way of thinking about whatever that's getting us stuck. And so we need to really personally and individually build this skill for ourselves. How to reframe things so that you think about it differently. As we talked about earlier, as soon as you can start thinking outside of the box, like it's literally like a light switch. When you're able to see from a different lens, the answers immediately form. You don't even have to do anything except think about it a little bit different. And so I always think of it as a light switch. It's like you're in one room and you're looking for the answer or looking for a solution and you can't find it. And all of a sudden you turn a light switch and a whole nother room reveals itself with all these different answers and solutions that you haven't even thought about. It's amazing.
It is. Do you find too that as a coach, it's easier to help other people figure out their problems versus working on your own struggles? Not that you have any, but in your just talking about yourself as an entrepreneur, what happens when you get stuck?
Since I've become a coach, I've definitely built my skill of self-awareness a lot stronger. Before that, I don't know if I was in denial, but I just wasn't focused on myself. I was focused on other people and helping other people and understanding them and their struggles and never looking at myself. And since I've become a coach, that self-awareness, self-reflection has definitely been something I've focused on. As far as, what do I do as a business coach? I actually have two coaches myself. I have Mary. She is I would call it accountability coach. She's my more practical coach where I'm in the day to day and we meet twice a month and she helps me celebrate my wins and then talk through some of the logistical things that I'm considering and the pros and cons and stuff like that. And then I have another business coach who's the owner of the coaching certification company that I'm part of, Danny, and he's wonderful and he helps me think of business models and he helps me with my mindset and he just helps me reframe things in a way that I haven't thought about. So actually, Lisa, I have two coaches.
That is a great thing to have. I have right now I have one coach. And I've also, I've had a lot of coaches in my business. And sometimes you outgrow a coach.
Hmm.
And that's okay
Hmm. Yes.
because things change. The world changes, we change, coaches
Hmm.
change.
Right, right. Yeah. And I love it. If you outgrow a coach, that most likely means that you're growing.
Right, right. So, what if working smarter, going back to that tagline, was the key to gaining more freedom? What does freedom look like for you? And how do you help your clients achieve it?
Freedom to me is very specific. Darren and I, my husband and I, are on year 6 of a 5-year plan.
I love that.
But 6 years ago, we decided, you know what? When the kids graduate and leave the nest and we can do our own thing, let's let's travel around the country and be full time in a trailer or a van or a RV or something and really just be free to check out all the beautiful sights in America and maybe different continents. And so freedom for me is very specific. I have built my whole business around traveling the United States in my van. When I first started, I definitely had in-person sessions and I told all my clients about my grand plan and said eventually we're just going to go all virtual. And I've definitely developed services which allow me to provide services, quote unquote, in the background for my clients in a way that allows me to have a flexible schedule, all these things. So freedom means to me just allowing having the time and space and energy to do whatever you want. And whether that be traveling around the United States in a camper van and staying down by the river as much as possible, or spending more time with your family, or having more time to hang out with, ailing parents that need your care or whatever, or just, making the same amount of money in half the time, whatever freedom means, it's just like whatever you want. That's what freedom means. Whatever you want.
So, do you think people confuse freedom with balance? And, can you balance your life, or how do you balance even working smarter while staying creative and innovative in your business,
Mm.
maintaining that freedom?
Mhm. Has to back with boundaries. So for me, very specifically, since we don't have kids that are home, and so Darren and I can just worry about ourselves, We have to be very deliberate about when is work time and when is not work time because we are workaholics. And when we work, it's hardcore work. So we have set boundaries to say, you know what, we need to cut work off at a certain time of the day. And we always set that schedule for ourselves every day, depending on what's going on and the meetings. And then we go out in nature and go hiking, go running. I'm doing training for a big race. So we're spending all of our free time running, but going out and running and re energizing ourselves, because that's how I personally recharge my battery is to be out in nature. It's amazing how going outside for a hike or a run for 10 minutes, how instantly, the feeling of just a drained day becomes a recharged run. It's amazing to me. And so it goes back to you got to set your boundaries and you got to be clear on why those boundaries are there. For us, Darren and I are very much in work mode, but we are balancing things to make sure that we're recharging our energy so we have time we can sustain that hard work that we need to do, but we're working hard because we have some big goals doesn't necessarily mean we're not working smarter. We are 1,000% working smarter because we have to. And so it just goes back to boundaries. Be clear on what your goals and values are. Set those boundaries so that everything lines in place as far as alignment. For me, it's less about balance and more about alignment. Does that make sense?
It does.
We we need to I am happiest when I'm aligned. I'm happiest when I'm aligned to having the ability to be creative in the way that I want to be creative. I'm happiest when I'm aligned to being in nature as much as I can. I'm aligned when my kids and I are talking, hopefully every other day and checking in and those kind of things. And I'm aligned when my best friends send me cool podcasts, talk about strange topics that I've never even thought about until they, presented it to me. So to me, it's less about balance and more about alignment because I'm at the stage in life where I can focus on that. I know not everybody is at a similar stage. A lot of times, especially if you have small kids or ailing parents, they're the priority. And so then it is about balance, right?
Maintaining that good energy is helpful though when you have, when you're taking care of parents and small children, because you do have to refuel yourself and you do have to shut your brain off. And that's pretty much what you're doing by going outside, going out in nature. You're saying, I'm taking a break. You're telling your brain that's it. And you're allowing the whatever transmitters to transmit in a different way instead of burning out, short circuiting it right in front of the computer.
I do want to emphasize there's a difference between resting and recharging. And I'm fortunate that being out in nature allows me to do both. Well, not if I'm running, then I'm not resting. But let's say I'm going on a big hike. Hiking is a form of rest for me because to your point, it helps me stopping in front of my computer, stop thinking about work. So I'm resting, but it also re-energizes my energy, and those are two different things. So think of it as like if you have an electric car and you're fully charged at the beginning of the day and you're driving around, you're draining your energy as we do as far as just doing the daily things. Our energy, our battery is getting drained. In order to stop that drain of energy on your battery, you need to rest. And so that's like taking the car and parking it. You're no longer drawing energy from your battery. So you need to rest. But you need to do more than rest. You need to actually recharge the battery. Those are two different things. And so if you don't recharge your battery, if you're 40 if you're at the 40% charge level and you don't recharge it, you're going to stay at the 40%, and then you have to expel energy some more and more, so it gets more and more and more. And so pretty soon you're going to be zero, and that's burnout, right? And so I want to really emphasize to everyone that's listening to recharge your battery. Understand what recharges your battery and make sure you're doing that on the daily. And if you can't do it on the daily for whatever reason, no. I'm going to say on the daily. You need to recharge your battery. As Americans, we live a busy life, and that battery is getting drained every single day. So we got to recharge it every day, don't you think, Lisa?
We do. And that's just like actionable advice because when we see our battery is at 1%, we refuel we plug in our phone because we can't be without our phone.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take care of ourselves. So having hobbies like that and just unplugging from the grind is so, so important.
Mm-hmm.
Such great advice. I appreciate that because when you're feeling overwhelmed, you you don't realize that that's what's happening
Yep. Yep.
and you just keep feeling overwhelmed until you unplug.
We actually do the opposite. We just keep going.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We do. Well, Oi, this has been a wonderful conversation. How can people connect with you and learn more about your coaching services?
Wonderful. Thanks for this opportunity, Lisa. If anybody wants to know more about me and the services that we provide, please go to my website at www.bloomdocking.com.
And Oi, what can you recommend for next steps if people want to explore those services with you?
Excellent question. So, if you're ready to save time and energy in your business, I'd love to chat. I really recommend to book a quick demo call with me so I can demonstrate our very cool tool, Custo. We didn't get much time to talk about it, but as you mentioned, Lisa, we help with strategy, skills, and tools, and we have an all-encompassing tool called Custo. And I'd love to show you how it can help you save time and energy in your day. You'll be amazed.
The conversation with Oi today offered some really great actionable advice for us as female entrepreneurs, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed or making decisions. So, if you can listen to this episode again, because she has a lot of great tips. And even though we didn't talk much about her system, Cusco, that is something that when you book your strategy call with her, she'll be able to give you the details on Cusco and how using that can make a difference in your business. So thank you, Oi. It was a pleasure chatting with you today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time for You Evolve for Female Entrepreneurs. If you loved this episode as much as I did, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and if you want to support the show, leaving a review goes a long way. A special shout out to our amazing partners and sponsors. Their support allows us to continue bringing you engaging content every week. And with a big thank you, I look forward to seeing you next time. If you're ready to supercharge your email marketing and automation game, look no further than my favorite autoresponder, ActiveCampaign. It's the ultimate all-in-one platform designed to turn your contacts into customers and your customers into loyal advocates. Imagine having a tool that not only understands your customers, but anticipates their needs. That's what ActiveCampaign does. With its powerful customer experience automation, you can create personalized journeys that nurture leads, drive sales, and build lasting relationships. The biggest reason I chose ActiveCampaign after trying other autoresponders is because I wanted to make sure my emails were being delivered and not going into spam. I need to know that my emails actually get to the people I'm emailing so that I have good engagement rates, response rates, and click-through rates on every email I send. Then I can have peace of mind that what I send out about my blog posts or upcoming events gets delivered and that people get to read what I write. ActiveCampaign offers live support through chats, webinars, and in-person study halls, again, which is so different from those other email services I've tried in the past. If you're ready to up your marketing game, go to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/activecampaign, which is my partner link, and sign up for a free trial. Experience firsthand the power of ActiveCampaign and take your marketing to a new level.
Hi, friends. Let's have a heart to heart about something that's been a significant part of my life, skincare. As a busy female entrepreneur, I need a quick and effective routine. About a year or so ago, I stumbled across my secret weapon, Droplet. It's made a remarkable difference in my skin. Now, I'm a self-proclaimed skincare junkie. I've tried it all, from serums to spa treatments, and even once selling a natural body care line. So when I learned about Droplet, I knew I had to give it a shot. Droplet delivers personalized skincare with its micro infuser, penetrating ingredients deep into your skin. It's like a Nespresso for skincare. It's quick, easy, with capsules that are recyclable. No cleanup, no hassle. Droplet's formulas are clinical strength, dermatologist recommended, and are cruelty free. It's a skincare lover's dream. If you're ready to evolve beyond the basics, head over to the Droplet link on my website today, where you can start your own personalized Droplet routine. Investing in a good skincare routine is crucial for any woman, especially us busy entrepreneurs. First impressions matter, and you want to put your best face forward. Droplet offers free consultations with their estheticians to address your skin concerns. Here's to glowing, radiant, and fiercely beautiful you, no matter what age you are. Get your 20% savings by heading over to my website, lisarcarmichael.com/droplet.